Good afternoon, grade 9. Welcome to this revision class. Today we are going to do communication skills. Right. This is what we are going to do. We are going to be drawing. I know it's difficult for you to do drawing online, but we are going to try as much as possible to help you remember drawing skills that you learned in term 1 and those that you did in grade 8, because these may appear in the assessment that you will be doing. And you need to remember them as they are part of the content that you have to do in grade 9. We'll do revision of scaling, first orthographic projection with instruments, and we'll do a flight of stairs. We are supposed to do a flight of stairs and a wheelchair ramp, but we'll do a flight of stairs in this lesson. Okay. Look at the communication skills because you might be required to remember those for your assessments. I'm going to be very, very basic right at the beginning of our lesson because we haven't had this lesson before. So I'm going to take you to the basic skills of drawing. You know that in technology, we differentiate between two types of communication. There's the communication that you refer to as one of the stages of the design process, where you present your product to your client and you communicate what your product is made of and how it's made. But communication skills in this regard do not refer to the design process, but they refer to drawing skills. I'm going to start with types of lines or line types. Right at the beginning of your drawing, you begin with construction lines. These are the plan. The construction lines are the plan for your drawing. You plan how you are going to draw your object, and you start by using faint lines. These lines are not permanent, and you may get an instruction in your assessment that you need to erase your construction lines, or the examiner may say, leave the construction lines on your drawing. So these are very important because they form the framework or the base of your drawing. How do you construct these lines? All right, you hold your pencil further from the lead tip. Because when you draw your darker lines, you hold your pen with your fingers more, a little bit closer to the lead tip. So that's how you hold your pen, your pencil. So these are faint, thin lines that will later be replaced by the outlines, all right? Those are construction lines. Then we have solid lines. Another name for solid lines is outlines. These are permanent, right? You might have to erase them. If you realize that you have committed an error, you might want to erase the outlines, but they might give you trouble because they are thicker and they are darker. So your eraser might not do a good job in removing these outlines. So it is best to work thoroughly with your construction lines so that you are certain that the outlines will be permanent. And we always use a pencil when we do communication skills, The type of pencil that you use is a 2H1. The 2H pencil is what you use for this. Okay, we also use, as you know, the ruler, but I'm not quite a big fan of the ruler. I rather prefer the T-square. Why? Because the T-square gives you a straight line, a straight horizontal line, because the T part, the crossing part of the T-square will hold on to your drawing board so that the line is really straight. But on the contrary, with your ruler, you might struggle to draw a straight horizontal line. And I also like the T-square because the other set squares will be moving along the horizontal line of your T-square. So it's important that we have the proper drawing tools. If your parents can afford them, please use them. But if you don't have them, it's not the end of the world. You can use mathematical sets. In your mathematical sets are your set squares, basically, because you have your 50-degree set square, your 30-degree set square, your ruler is there, and you can use those as your drawing instruments. So this is a solid, this is the solid line, and it's important that you don't maybe confuse these lines. If you want to say, this is my construction line, it should be faint, and the solid line should be dark. Don't be tempted to draw a dark construction line. The distinction must speak for itself, like in this drawing. You can see the faint line and the dark line, all right? The secret is in the position of your fingers on your pencil. Then we have another type of line, which you call the hidden detail line. The hidden detail line, you did this in grade 7 and 8. What is the purpose of the hidden detail line? Please speak to me. What is the purpose of the hidden detail line? What do you use this line for? Grade 9? Okay. This line is used to show the edges of the object that are not visible to the eye. So when we see a 3D object, we see 3 dimensions, but there are other dimensions that are not clear to the eye. So for those, we reflect them with the hidden detail line on the drawing, on the 3D drawing. Then we have center lines. We have center lines. What is the purpose of center lines? The center lines is used to show where you want to drill. If you want to drill a hole on your object. They are also called the dash dot lines. And if you can look at the nature of this line, it's not an equal dash line. You sort of have a big dash and a small dash. That's why they call it a dash dot line, okay? On this drawing, I also want you to see the dimensioning, how we dimension, how we write our measurements. We don't write the units for the measurements, but we rather write the value. Look on which side of the arrow is the value. And these dimensioning lines, they show us the 40 millimeters. Where does it start? Where does it end? Okay, so if you are dimensioning your drawing and you put this 65 on this side of the arrow, you will be marked wrong. You must rather put the 65 on top of the arrow, always on top of the arrow. Okay, so that is dimensioning, right? Then another important factor in drawings is the scale. Why do we use the scale? We use the scale to show how big is it? How big is the object that we are drawing? The scale is telling the reader that. If the scale is 1:1, it means 1 centimeter or 1 millimeter on the drawing represents 1 millimeter or 1 centimeter on the real object. 1:2, it means 1 unit on the drawing represents 2. For instance, 1 centimeter on the drawing represents 2 on the actual object. Okay. Why do we use the scale? The reason is quite obvious. It's because we cannot represent objects that we want to draw in their actual size on a piece of paper, but we need to be accurate. Okay. Imagine, for instance, like a house or a building. A building is very big. You cannot draw a building 1:1. So you have to use a scale that is going to represent the building accurately as it is, so that the builder can look at the dimensions of the drawing and represent them accurately on the ground where the building is being built. So that is the purpose of the scale. Now, if you are drawing to scale, I've made these examples for you to see. This is the same object drawn at different scales, right? The first one, the biggest one, should be 1:1. So what does this mean? It means if I have to construct this object, if I have to make this object, I would simply cut out this pattern and make the object, because this is the actual measurement of the object. But 1:2, it simply means the drawing is half the size of the real object. Then 1:4, it's a quarter the size of the object. Right down to 1:5, 1:10, it means 1 millimeter on the drawing represents 2 on the actual object. And on and on until you to this tiny one, which means 1 millimeter or centimeter represents 10 on the real object. Now in grade 9, I'm done with the basics now. What do we do in grade 9? The first drawing that you did in grade 9, term 1, was first angle orthographic drawing, right? In communication skills, we do first angle and third angle orthographic projection, but in grade 9, we only do first angle orthographic projection. Okay. What is orthographic projection? It is a drawing that will show you, it's two-dimensional drawing. It will show you what objects look like from different viewpoints. Okay? If you can look at this cube, it has different colors. the colors are made for you to see when you want to practice orthographic drawing, for you to see that this is the dimensions I will be drawing, the two, when you are drawing 2 dimensions. So this three-dimensional drawing will be drawn in a 2-dimensional manner. It means that when you draw orthographic, you are going to draw this side or this view, that view, and that view. Because we said in a 3-dimensional drawing, you see 3 sides. So you're going to reflect the sides that you see on a flat piece of paper. So that is orthographic drawing. Now, look at this picture. Look at this picture. You have 3 people, please note them. You have 3 people on this picture. These 3 people are looking at the piano. Down here is the piano, which is seen by these people. There's Jeff there, there's Sarah there, and there's Vusi there. Each one of these characters must draw this piano in a way that they see it. Okay, so what Sarah will be drawing? What Sarah will be drawing is the front view of the piano. What Jeff will be drawing is the top view of the piano. What Vusi will be drawing is the side view of the piano. So it's not the same. It's not the same drawing that these 3 characters will produce of this one object. So these 3 people are going to draw a 2-dimensional view, a 2-dimensional drawing of this 3-dimensional object. So Vusi will be drawing what he sees, which is this part. Jeff will be drawing this part and this part, but from his view, from his perspective. And Sarah will be drawing only this part and not this part. So that is what orthographic drawing is. You draw the dimensions as they appear to the person who is facing them. Okay? Right. Now, when you look at these pictures, I want you to tell me who will be drawing what. Let's label them. Let's start by labeling them. Let us start by labeling these sides, these views, okay? This is the front view. This is the front view. Somebody who is standing in front of the piano sees this only. They are going to draw this. And that is Sarah. Sarah can see this part. And if she has to draw the front part, she has to draw this and label it front view. Then we come to this, Which part of the piano is this? It is the side. So, Vusi will look at this and see only this part. This is what Vusi will be seeing. Vusi will draw this as the side view. Then, this is the top view. Who will be drawing this? It's Jeff. Jeff will be drawing this because from that hole, the trap door in the ceiling, from the trap door, this is what he can see. He can see the top part. So this is what he will draw. Okay, but how do we represent these? If you are required just to draw one dimension of an object, it's okay, that's what you will draw. But if you are required to draw all the dimensions that you see in two-dimensional drawing, then it means you have to divide your paper so that it has the X and Y axis. You divide it into 4. Okay, so let's look at the meaning of orthographic projection. The word orthographic comes from 2 words. Ortho, meaning looking straight at a flat face of an object. Graphic means a drawing. This means you will look at an object from different sides and make separate drawings of what you see. How many sides of this box do you see? Let's see. I see only 3. I know there are other sides that are hidden, but at this angle, this box is standing at an isometric angle. So what I see is 3 sides. I see the top part, the front, and the side. Now, when I practice drawing two-dimensional, I will move from this isometric drawing, but only draw one dimension. If you look straight down from above, like Geoff, if you look down from above, from the trap door in the ceiling, this is what you see, and this is what you will draw only. And you will label it what? Top view. Okay? This is what you see. It is called the top view. Then the side view. If you look at the box from a certain position on the left, you will see a yellow rectangle. This is your side view. When you draw it, you move away from the 3-dimensional drawing, you come to the 2-dimensional drawing, and you draw it like this. This is enlarged for this presentation. When you draw it, you stick to the measurements, okay? You stick to the measurements so that it is a credible representation of the side view. Right. Then, the front view. This is also called the front view. It can also be called the side view. How so? In a drawing, you decide which side you will call the front. Other drawings, in other drawings, it can be decided that this is the front, so then this becomes the side. So this is the front view or the side view. You only draw two-dimensional. This is a freehand drawing. A freehand orthographic projection, this one. You can do this when you are doing your design stage of your design process. Here, you will divide your paper, as I said, into 4. You are generating ideas. Maybe you want to show your client that your top view will look like this, your front view will look like this, your side view will look like this. So generally, this is how we draw first angle orthographic drawing. This part will be your top view, this part will be your front view, and this will be your side view. Now, if you look at the size, this has the credibility of being the side view. This does look like the front, and this does look like the top, okay? Now, a set of drawings like this is called first angle orthographic projection. This one is done freehand. If you are doing it using instruments, it needs more detail, okay? Because you would need to draw a certain line, which will be maybe 10 millimeters away from this line, and another one, you draw a projection line, okay? You draw it either side of this line, and you do the same to the horizontal axis, and then at an angle of 45 degrees, you draw a diagonal line like this. What is the use of that? Basically, when we draw orthographic projection, we draw the top view and we align it straight with the front view, and then we use this line to project the side view. So proper alignment will be very important, because this must really look like the side of this. So these are the views that we draw. We draw the top view and the front view, but the side view we project from the top view by aligning the lines. If you can check this line, although it's freehand, but it's aligned. Even the top, it is aligned, although it's freehand. Okay, be mindful of that. Okay. Now, let's look at the staircase in isometric projection. Right. What do you see when you are peeping at this staircase from the trapdoor in your ceiling? You see only the yellow parts. So your top view would be a representation of these yellow parts. That would be your top view. The front, as I told you before, that you can decide that this is your front. So the front would be a representation of these blue blocks. Then the side is this, but because we can't see this side, we know that the side will be like this. Okay, so the side will look like this. Okay, now you can draw your orthographic drawing on grid paper. In communication skills, we draw freehand with instruments and on grid paper. What type of a grid paper do we use to draw first angle orthographic drawings? We use the square grid. The square grid is like this, and these lines will allow us to draw. These lines will allow us to draw straight lines which are two-dimensional. So, what is this? This is the front view, remember? Okay, this is the front view of the staircase. Why do we say it's the front view? Because the person who is standing here is seeing these 3 blocks. So what the person will draw is these 3 blocks. So this is the representation of the front view. Please note that we are taking it from an isometric drawing. So the angle at which the front view will be drawn is not 30 degrees anymore. You don't see this angle of 30 degrees anymore, but you see straight lines. You see a flat representation of the front view. Okay, so we are going to use these squares as a means of measurement. Okay, because in the grid, we assume that a square should be, I'm sorry about that sound, it keeps going off at this time. We assume that each square on the square grid represents 10 millimeters or 1 centimeter. So when you measure the real object, when you measure the 3-dimensional object, or if you are given the dimensions, when you measure here, let us say you measure here, maybe you get 2 centimeters, okay? You are going to count the centimeters on the square grid, okay? To assume that each square equals 1 centimeter. So you must be able to communicate the dimensioning of your drawing on the orthographic grid, right? Then using the same principle, then it is easy to draw this is the front, the top view. Okay, the side view also will be on the side. Now, this is what the side view will look like. Look at the angle, it's just flat, whereas on this drawing, it was at a slanting angle. But now it is flat, it is not slanting. So the side view will be drawn like this. Then this is the dimensioning. This is the dimensioning. Remember, I said you must be mindful of the position of the measurements on the arrow. On this side, it will be on top of the arrow. On this side, it will be on the left side of the arrow. Even on this side, it will be on the left side of the arrow. And remember to use your dimensioning lines, which are indicating what this measurement is for. These dimensioning lines are showing us clearly that this measurement is from here up to here, is 300 millimeters. 300 millimeters. And look at the way the arrow has been represented. And then that is your side view. We will continue with communication skills in our next lesson. And I hope that you benefited from this. Please use your mathematical instruments if you don't have set squares. But if you can, use set squares. When we are drawing, we don't use faint and margin paper. Shy away from using faint and margin paper because the lines on the faint and margin paper can mislead you. Use plain photocopying paper and use a 2H pencil. Have an eraser and your pencil must be sharp. It must be sharpened. When you draw your drawings, take care of the way you hold your pencil so that you draw lines that are appropriate. If it's a faint line, it must be faint. If it's an outline, it must be thick and it must look like an outline. Make sure that you don't move your pencil numerous times along the ruler because that can give you an error, a line that will look like a double line. So that line is not good. It's not good enough in communication skills. Your teacher will mark you wrong line. Okay. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye.